All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this invisible system that's running pretty much every major office on the planet. We're going to lay out the blueprint piece by piece.
Seriously, have you ever stopped to think about this? You've got these giant companies, right? We're talking 10,000 computers, 10,000 employees. How on earth do they manage all that without it just descending into total chaos? I mean, keeping track of every single person, every computer, every printer, and making sure the right people can access the right files while keeping the wrong people out? It sounds like an impossible task.
Well, the answer is they don't just wing it. They build a digital blueprint. It's this hidden system that brings a sense of order to all that potential chaos. And today, we're going to explore that very system. It's called Active Directory.
So here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 5 parts. First, how the digital office gets organized. Then, how we group people to control who gets in. After that, we'll see how rules get enforced across the whole company. We'll peek at the admin's power tools, and finally, we'll wrap up with why any of this hidden stuff actually matters.
Okay, first things first, organization. Just like you can't build a real office without floors and departments, you can't build a digital one without a logical structure. So let's start by creating some digital filing cabinets.
The most basic building block here is something called an organizational unit, or just an OU. It's really nothing fancy. Just think of it as a digital container. It's like a folder where you can neatly tuck away all the users and computers that belong to a single department, like everyone in accounting.
And so you do what makes sense. You build a digital structure that mirrors the real company. You create an OU for accounting, one for admin, another for sales, and so on. Right away, your digital office has this clean, logical structure. Everything suddenly becomes so much easier to manage.
So now that we have our digital department set up, what's next? Well, we've got to control who can actually get into them. This whole part is about handing out the right digital keycards, which is crucial for both security and, just getting things done efficiently.
Just picture this for a second. Imagine you had to give every single employee permission to every single file they need, one by one. It'd be a complete nightmare. So slow, you'd be making mistakes all over the place, and good luck trying to keep track of who has access to what. Instead, the blueprint uses a much smarter approach: groups. You just give a digital keycard to the group, and boom, everyone in that group can open the door. It's fast, it's consistent, and it is way more secure. Now, there are a couple types of groups. The first one is called a global group. The easiest way to think about this one is as the WHO. Its only job is to collect people who have similar roles. So you'd make a group called Sales Team, and you guessed it, put all the salespeople inside. Simple.
The second type is the domain local group. Now, if the first group was the who, this one is the what. This group doesn't actually hold people. Instead, it holds the permissions. For example, you'd create a group that has access to the super secret sales folder.
And here is where the magic happens, connecting the who to the what. The best practice is a really simple formula. Accounts, that's your users, go into global groups. Then, that entire global group gets put into a domain local group. And finally, you give the permissions to that last group. This method, AGDLP, is a beautiful, scalable way to manage permissions even in a huge company.
All right, so our people are organized, and they have the right access, but how do we make sure everybody is playing by the same rules? This, my friends, is where the digital blueprint gets really, really powerful.
We do this with something called a Group Policy Object, or GPO. A GPO is basically a digital rulebook. You can create rules for, and I mean this literally, thousands of different settings. You can require super complex passwords. You can force everyone to have the same company desktop wallpaper. You can even block them from using USB drives.
Let's make this real with an example. Let's say you're the IT admin, and you really don't want the sales team messing around with their computer settings. You can create a specific rule that applies only to them.
And the rule itself is super simple. The policy is to prohibit access to control panel. The target is our sales OU that we made earlier, and the setting is enabled. And just like that, with a few clicks, this rule is now live for every single person in the sales department.
And what does the user see? Well, if a salesperson tries to open their control panel, this is the exact message that pops up on their screen. The rule is just instantly, automatically enforced. That is what centralized control looks like.
So, with this whole complex blueprint in place, how does one person, the IT administrator, actually manage it all? Well, they have some pretty awesome power tools at their disposal. The day-to-day stuff is made incredibly efficient through the graphical interface. An admin can instantly search for any person in the whole company, reset a forgotten password in seconds, or even do something like apply a new job title to hundreds of people all at the same time.
But here's the cool part, the real secret. Behind every single one of those clicks, that friendly interface is quietly translating everything into a line of code. And that is where the real power of automation kicks in.
This right here, this is PowerShell. It's the language humming along behind the scenes. With this, an admin doesn't have to sit there clicking to create one new user. Nope, they can write a simple script with commands just like this one to create 1,000 new users, put them all in the right groups, and give them the right permissions all in a matter of seconds. That is true automation.
So let's bring this all home. We've looked at the organization, the access controls, the rules, the tools. Why does any of this digital blueprint matter so much?
Because this is the result, a well-designed blueprint, a solid Active Directory structure. It creates a system that is fundamentally secure, incredibly efficient to manage, and brings order to what would otherwise be just utter chaos. It's what allows a business to grow without completely falling apart.
And that right there is the crucial takeaway. This system isn't just a piece of software. It's a philosophy of organization. It's the very framework that allows a tiny startup to grow into a global powerhouse, making sure that as things get bigger, they also get stronger, not messier.
So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. Now that you understand the power of setting these kinds of rules, if you were the architect of your company's digital blueprint, what's the one rule you would enforce on every single computer? Think about it. The possibilities are pretty endless.